Hello! Thank you po for joining me again for another episode of Songwriting at Iba Pa. Ako po si Aaron Paul Del Rosario. Ako po ay composer, songwriter, producer, singer, otherwise known also as Aaron Paul Composer in some of social media. Today po, pag-uusapan na natin ang isa na naman pong importanteng bagay sa songwriting, and this time it's what we call the title. Nga pala, bago ako mag-continue, if you're already a subscriber, thank you for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate you. And if you haven't, if this is your first time joining us, go ahead and click that red button that you see there that says subscribe. This way po, lumaki naman po sana ang community natin. And then there's also a notification bell down there. If you could hit that, this way when I come up with more videos, alam ninyo na may bago pa na sana po makakatulong sa inyo if you're a songwriter and you'll learn from it. Okay? So, going back to the question. Somebody asked me recently, Sir Aaron Paul, ano po ba ang title and why is this important? Good question. A lot of times nga nagbabasa ako yung when people talk about the parts of a song, they only say the verse, the refrain, or the chorus, pre-chorus, the bridge, the extra. But most times when people talk about the parts of a song, nobody ever really mentions the title. It's almost like it's left out. But to me, the title is very important. Why? Because dyan ko nakukuha yung inspiration ko for my songs. I like to listen to people when they talk. I get ideas sometimes pag nanonood ako ng shows, movies, especially, romantic movies, because I like writing love songs. And I hear a verse or something that is said there, and sinusulat ko kaagad yan, and that becomes the title. So, why is the title important? And I hope you don't mind my notes, because I barely have enough time today, but I did want to answer this person's question. Now, the title is how people get an idea of what your song is about. Now, this is very important to you if you're a songwriter, kasi lalo na when you're pitching to a record company or an A&R manager, or maybe to an artist. This is very important to you because this will let them know what your song's about. So what makes a good title? Well, first of all, it has to be unique and it's eye-catching. Is that a rule? Not necessarily. Kung artist ka naman, if you're already a singer and songwriter and you produce your own, really, you can come up with songs and it doesn't really matter what the title is, and you can come up with your album. But if you are only a songwriter, labanan yan eh. You can imagine how many other songwriters are out there, so you want to make sure that your song gets noticed. So it has to be eye-catching, it has to be unique. It has to make the A&R manager or the singer to be, kung kaibigan mo yan, or if you're close enough to actually pitch directly to the singer, kailangan pag nakita pa lang nila yung title, mag-iisip na sila, oh, that's interesting. What is the song about? Kasi tandaan nyo, when you give them either a CD or you send them the MP3, the only thing they're looking at is the title. Hindi pa nila naririnig yung kanta. So, dun pa lang, kailangan maganda na yung title mo para ganahan naman sila na, sige, pakinggan natin to. Let's see what this is about. Mukhang interesting. It might be what I'm looking for. You want to do that. So it must create a curiosity for the listener to say, what is this about? I want to hear it. Now, you don't want also your title to be prejudged, kasi kung ang title mo is just about everything else that they've heard in the past, baka mapatabi ka na lang, sabihin, I've heard this before, I don't even need to listen to it. Let's listen to the others. Meron ba diyang mukhang interesting? Keep in mind, you're not the only one submitting songs to that A&R manager. Okay? So, pick your title. Me, I like expressions, as I told you. If I hear anything that sounds like it's a really good expression to turn into a song, I will take advantage of that. Like, bakit ngayon ka lang? Nandito ako. Things that people normally say, and then you can create that into a song. Now, why is that important to me? Because early in my career, I've learned that these expressions become free advertising. When people use these expressions and they hear it, di ba madalas nangyayari siya eh? When you hear somebody say something and your reaction is you actually sing a part of the song back to them kasi naaalala niyo yung kanta. So it's important. Try to do that. Might help you. And a lot of times, especially when somebody is looking for a song they want to listen to, like meron silang pinagdadaanan, they're heartbroken or they're in love, they're looking for certain things in the title pa lang to listen to, and it helps na yung kanta mo ang pakikinggan nila. Diba? When you're on Spotify, you're on YouTube, when you're looking for a song that will inspire you because in love ka, diba? Ano bang hinahanap mo? Are you looking for something that says, oh, I'm falling in love with you? So you start looking for songs na ganun ang title. Or kung heartbroken ka, I miss you, something like that. Or bakit mo ako iniwan? Or where are you? Now, you're looking for these particular expressions, these words, these keywords. So that helps. Tandaan nyo, you only are based on the title pa lang. They haven't really listened to the song yet. So try to pick a good title so that when your market is looking to purchase a song or listen to a song, it's out there na kung ano yung nararamdaman nila. And that will help you if you're selling or if you want to get hits or likes of a certain song. Pick a title na marami makakapag-relate, and most of the times also they can remember through an expression because of something they hear. Okay? Tandaan nyo, with so many titles out there, again, be unique. You don't want something naman na title na marami na dyan. If you're going to pick something, especially a title na hit na, and a lot of people relate to that title, do you want to take the chance and use that title again in your song? Kasi sa akin ganito eh, if my song is good enough to equal that song that is already a hit or surpass that, if I feel that it will surpass it, I'll take the chance, I'll gamble. But if I don't think that using this title again in my song will only confuse the listeners kasi na meron ng kantang ganyan and my song really isn't going to either equal or be better than that song, find another title. Or at least if you're somewhere around that idea, play around with the words, find another way to say it and still get the same idea. Okay? So that's a tip to you. So, what have you learned here? When you hear an expression, write it down. I've said it in the past. Write it down. Your pen, your paper, your iPhone, your notes. These are some of the best weapons that you have. Write it down because you're going to forget. If you think you'll remember later on, you won't. You'll forget. Write it down. This way you don't forget when you're in front of your studio and you want to write the songs. If you have the time, actually, write the song. Don't wait. Habang inspired ka pa. Because title that stands out in your songs. My God, I've heard so many songs before in the past. Like, I wonder, why did they choose that title when it really has nothing to do, especially in the refrain? The refrain is talking about something else, and the title they chose was something that was either picked from the verse or only was mentioned one time in the title. Why do that? Pick a title na when you listen to the song, yun ang naaalala ng tao about your song. I'll give an example. Ako, one of the tips or tricks I usually do is kung ano yung title ko, yun ang first line ng song sa verse, and it will also be the first line in my refrain and also the last line of the refrain. Why? Because I'm going for the memory factor. In some cases, I guess people call it LSS. Example, paminsan-minsan. The first words of paminsan-minsan in the verse is that word paminsan-minsan. When you get to the chorus, paminsan-minsan is the first thing you hear in the chorus, and it's also going to be mentioned again in the last line of the chorus. Why? Because you're pitching that title. The more times you mention your title, the more it becomes memorable for your market. And maybe it's because I'm a product of advertising. It's just how it works. The more times you mention something, the more people will remember it. So I hope this is helpful to you. Pick a good title. I hope you will find it enjoyable when you're writing a song, because it helps give your songwriting some kind of a direction. And if you have other ideas out there, mention it in the comments so that other songwriters can also learn, okay? Well, today's Bible verse is coming from the first book of John, chapter 3, verse 1. And I'll read it to you. Behold, what manner of love the Father has bestowed on us, that we should be called children of God. Therefore, the world does not know us, because it did not know him. So what does this have to do with what we just talked about? Titles of songs. Well, the title, first of all, is how the song is known by. Kung maganda ang title mo, ang expectation ng mga listeners, maganda rin sana ang melody at ang lyrics ng iyong kanta. And that will make your song a hit, or at least popular. In our case, ang title natin is Children of God. You and I are children of God. You are a child of God. Maganda ang title natin. And because of that, we are expected to act like children of God. I'll give you an example. Let's say, pangalan mo si Pedro. Father mo si Edong. When people talk about you, Pedro, what are people saying about you? Do they say nice things about you? Or do they say the opposite? Do people say, oh, si Edong, alam mo yung tatay niyan, masamang tao, pero buti na lang yung anak niyang si Pedro. Naku, napakabait niyang batang yan. Wala kaming masabing masama. Is such a nice person. Maganda pakinggan, di ba? Kung ganyan ang pinagsasabi ng mga tao sa iyo. So, keep that in mind. As your title is Child of God, act like a child of God. Be kind, be good. Lumayo ka sa demonyo. Gawin mo ang buhay mo dedicated always to the Father, and everything will be added onto you. Sinabi na niya yan, di ba? Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all of this will be added onto you. Kung ano man ang hinihiling mo, kung ano man ang mga pangarap mo, all of that will be added as long as you act the right way. Unahin mo muna ang Panginoon, and everything else will be added. Asahan mo yan. Kung hindi ngayon, in the future, definitely, mabait ang Diyos, ibibigay niya yan sa iyo. And why not? Anak ka niya. If you've ever been a father, you know, kahit yung pinakahuli mong 50, 25, G's, 1 cent, huli mong tinapay, ibibigay mo sa iyong anak. Dahil mahal mo ang iyong anak. Mahal tayo ng Panginoon. So, we are children of God. Don't forget that. I hope the Bible verse meant something to you, and if it did, go ahead and use it in your life. Tell people about it. Also, if the discussion on titles helps you as a songwriter, I hope you will become better at your craft. And with that, I end this. I hope you will subscribe and continue to follow my YouTube channel. If you know some friends of yours that are also songwriters and would like to know a little bit more about the art of songwriting and how to be better at it, tell them about me, tell them about this YouTube channel. But in the meantime, huwag niyong kalimutan, mahal kayo ng Diyos. Subscribe and follow my YouTube channel. Salamat po.